Shane Lyons dropped the hammer on Big Ten early enrollees, and we got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, I want to talk about the hammer that West Virginia AD and head of the Football Oversight Committee, Shane Lyons, dropped on Big Ten early enrollees, put on game by Berm over at Letterman Row, because I frankly missed this until I'm doing what I normally do, which is to read as much about college football so that I can have a smart and informed opinion about what is going in our world, and I come across this. So this comes from Ralph Russo, who is the Associated Press's college football reporter and the guy that is also responsible for putting together the AP ballots for the top 25, and he makes it his job to know these sorts of things. So let's go through how this is going to end badly for Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, basically anybody that was trying to front early enrollees by saying you get to play in the spring. West Virginia AD Shane Lyons, who heads the NCAA's Football Oversight Committee, told the AP the committee will recommend to the D1 Council that mid-year enrollees, aka early enrolling freshmen, not be permitted to play in the spring football season. Add to that, Lyons also said NCAA football oversight, will recommend extending the dead period in recruiting through October 31st, eliminating the fall evaluation period. Lyons said the committee will recommend fall ball, in quotes, as a model, basically spring football in the fall, for teams to prepare for non-traditional seasons. Interesting catch, though. Recommendation will be if a team uses quote-unquote fall ball, it cannot hold spring practices no matter when its season ends. This feels like it's hamstringing the Pac-12 and the Big Ten in particular, because at the very least, you thought you would be able to get in some extra work and some extra time with your players who aren't necessarily going to have the same opportunities to play regular season football in the fall, not unlike the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC, to say nothing of the Sun Belt and Conference USA, who have already begun their seasons. UAB played against Central Arkansas last night. This is going up on a Friday afternoon. We also know Southern Miss and South Alabama played. Central Arkansas has gotten 2 regular season games in already at a time when we were supposed to see Ohio State start its season, and that has been curtailed. And on top of that, we have Kevin Warren and Larry Scott trying to make sure that they're in lockstep for a spring season such as it might be. And on top of all of this, we have the news that guys like Jack Sawyer and TreVeyon Henderson will not be allowed to play in the spring if they early enroll, which is to say that guys like TreVeyon Henderson and Jack Sawyer, TreVeyon Henderson, who has had the opportunity to play his senior season removed from him, and Jack Sawyer, who's chosen to skip it altogether, won't actually be able to play football for a full year. That seems not just harsh, it seems cruel. Even in an age of the pandemic, even at a time when I don't necessarily think that it's safe to play football, if other people are going to play football and other people are coming up with ways to play football and the Big Ten wants to play football, I understand that this is a bad look for the Big Ten and the Pac-12. I also understand that the way that they have chosen to handle this has put almost everything in the hands of people that don't necessarily care as much about football as even I do, right? I really love college football. I also am looking out for the best interests of players and then coaches and then athletic directors and then universities, because I come at it from the standpoint of the players need to be advocated for because they have the least amount of rights here. That said, there's so many players that want to play football. Damn the torpedoes. And the ones that don't want to play football are opting out. Jamie Newman, Jamar Chase, Tyler Shelvin, Rondale Moore, Rashad Bateman, Micah Parsons. I could continue to go on. And you know most of the guys that are opting out that are going to get drafted in the first round. You don't know a lot of the guys that are just on scholarship looking to play, looking to make an opportunity for themselves at the next level. People like to throw out this argument that Joe Burrow or Baker Mayfield would not be number 1 overall draft picks if they did not play their final year of eligibility. And that one's true, and I get that. But for the vast majority of us, we're not going to be able to play NFL football in the first place, even if we're on scholarship at a place like Ohio State. We're likely to be out there looking for a job. We're likely to be out there trying to make our way. And if you know that that's going to be you, you probably want to play football even more so. Even as you could contract a virus that could kill your grandparents. Or, to put it more succinctly, a concussion is not an infectious disease cluster. However, I think that it is wildly cruel to say that these kids will not be able to play a spring football season if it is safe by our standards to play. And by my standards, that means a vaccine. No matter how you feel about vaccines, I think that the vast majority of people that are against doing stuff in this current climate would feel much better about it if there was a vaccine. Not unlike we feel good about it with the flu and there being a vaccine, right? For you to say that they can't play football in the spring or the fall is patently wrong. It also is wrong to say that you can't have an extended playoff, one that features 16 to 24 teams, if you're going to have these early enrollees play basically 18 to 20 games over a calendar year, which we all know is unsafe, especially for the guys that are going to play in the NFL and have long careers. We have lots of data to show what CTE will do to a head. We have lots of data to show what happens to knees and hips when you play a lot of football, especially at a high level. This feels like overkill, and this feels like it's done incorrectly, especially as you're getting everybody another year of eligibility. This is a mulligan season, and it should be, especially for the kids that have no control over what their conferences decided to do, a la the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, to say nothing of the FCS, where we only have 15 of 127 FCS teams that are choosing to play football in some capacity in the fall. And one of those teams that we're including is North Dakota State. And they're only going to play one football game in October against the Central Arkansas team that is good, but not great, and probably is not going to be that much of a challenge for North Dakota State. And they're going to act as a real live tackling dummy for the Trey Lance experience so that NFL evaluators can get some good eyes on him and try to make what they think is a good selection in April, which is 6 months after October. For Jack Sawyer, for TreVeyon Henderson, this is the worst possible news. For us as recruiting nicks, this is also the worst possible news, because if you're extending this through October 31st, you're also telling us that you want the early signing date to basically take place 6 weeks later, and that can't happen. There's so many things that the NCAA's Football Oversight Committee are in control of and have the power to recommend. This is one in which I cannot agree with what Shane Lyons is proposing with the facts on the ground, especially knowing that you don't necessarily have to make this decision right now. And as we get closer to Saliva Direct and we get closer to Quiddle and we get closer to all of these rapid tests that seem to be proliferating all at once, you can't say that the facts will be the same on October 31st, let alone September 30th. I feel terrible for the likes of these really highly recruited players who were looking forward to playing college football in January. And now it seems that they won't even be able to play college football until this time next year. Football at all, really. Doses.